Hello and welcome to the Come to Listen podcast. My name's Roger, co-founder of Metamorphic Synergies. I hope you're doing well today. Let's drop in. Today we're talking about community. Now, for those of you that don't know, the four pillars, at least for now, of the Come to Listen podcast are faith, health, nature, and community. The reason those pieces are chosen is because that's what really matters to me in my life and my spirit right now. And I think that those are pieces that will really matter for you in your life and in your spirit. Faith, right? We want to spend time with God and we want to honor God with our life. We want to spend time in the spirit and remember that that's what life's really all about. Health. Part of that faith is taking care of our body, our mind, our spirit. It's honoring what we've been given as this gift and living a healthy lifestyle because of it. Nature, both getting outside because it's good for us and also supporting quality improvements in our natural environment, primarily regenerative agriculture. For those of you that don't know, regen ag it's a game changer. It builds soil as opposed to breaking it down. And we have an opportunity to actually support farmers that are doing that, and they need our help. And that's going to help us spend more time outside as well. It's going to keep this environment beautiful, which is going to allow us to revel in it and to live in it. And then, of course, community. Now, community is a huge topic for sure, and obviously I'm no sociologist. I'm not here to really break it down in that way, but I'm here to share why it matters as a whole, what community means to me, where I'm growing in terms of community, and then what that's going to look like for the Come to Listen podcast and for Metamorphic Synergies going forward. Now, as for why community matters, I think we all have a pretty decent understanding of the importance of community. We've all felt times where we've been isolated, and maybe we've all felt times where we've been connected. And those are very different experiences in the human life. Sometimes isolation is necessary. It's part of God's plan. Maybe God's refining our spirit in those moments. But generally speaking, we do well when we have deep, meaningful connections with people we love in our life. For me, community shows up first as my family. It's my wife. It's my sisters, my dad, my mom, God bless her in heaven. It's my brother-in-law, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. It's my closest friends, people who I've known for years, or people who I come to know more recently, but that I deeply connect with. That's my community first circle. Maybe there's one circle more broader than that is all the different connections that I've made and people that I'm building relationships with. I would say I lean a little bit more on the extroverted side, and my work definitely promotes that. And so I spend a lot of time engaging with people and building connections, and that's something so amazing that fills my spirit, truly. Now, as for why community matters beyond just me, I understand that maybe I lean a little more on the extroverted side, and perhaps you're more of an introvert and you prefer to spend time on your own. That you still want to have a good, tight circle of people that really care about you. There's this guy named Sebastian Junger, and he wrote this book called Tribe, and it talks about how, we live in the most connected society ever. And in a sense, that's true. You're tuned into this, right? So you and I may not have gotten a chance to meet in person, and yet here we are. And there's ways that you can engage with me and with Metamorphic Synergies through social media platforms where we can go back and forth and build some light relationships. And maybe as this podcast continues to grow, if you've watched hundreds of hours of me speaking, at a certain point, you probably feel like you know me pretty well. I have a similar feeling with people who I've spent time understanding their perspectives. But real community is about those in-person connections when we can share our hearts, share our vulnerabilities, share what we're working on, be open, and hear real words to our spirit from people that we love and we respect and trust their opinion. That's community. Not surface relationships, not number of followers. Community is about who can you call at 2 a.m. Build that list. Love on the people that love you. That's how you build community. Maybe reach out when you meet someone new. Maybe take that slightly more encouraging step of, no, let's go grab a coffee. Why not? No, let's go to a yoga class. Let's go work out. Let's go for a hike. One of the other amazing things about community is that who you surround yourself with is who you become. Spend time with 5 people who have horribly negative attitudes. Good luck being a bright, positive light in the world. Surround yourself with like-minded people looking to lift up the energy of the world and raise their spirits and raise your spirits. You're going to be feeling pretty good and strong and solid in who you are. And so we can make choices with our community. We can reflect and see if our current relationships, see how they're affecting us. And that's not to say that we have to just cut people out so that we can grow. It's not about the ego. Wim Hof likes to say, no ego, we go. And I think that's pretty accurate. I think that building community is just as much about connecting with people as it is about letting our values distance relationships. If you're growing stronger, if you're growing as who you are, and people used to operate at a certain frequency that you just don't vibrate at, they're negative, they complain a lot, and you don't, and you know that that's not good for you, you may find yourself naturally spending less time around those people. You can't change people. Part of community is also understanding that people don't need to be perfect for you to hang out with them. At the end of the day, none of us are perfect. All we need to do is show up and love one another, and that's a pretty simple thing to do when we can come back to it. And so building community can be something that's pretty accessible. You don't really have to make a huge effort to do it. Matter of fact, when you're open to building your community, God will fill your contacts. Where I'm growing in community, there's a few different pieces. I'm always trying to lean into those that I'm closest to. And as I'm sure you know, prioritizing time for friends is tough when you're working hard on you and working hard with your family. There's only so much time in the day. But man, do those friendships matter. Do those brothers matter? And also, again, that sort of second circle, from a community standpoint, being able to host spaces for people to get together. That's a hugely important thing for me. And I know that it's coming, and I can feel that. I can feel God sharing that message. Even just showing up in more spaces, whether that's business networking or whether that's a fire night chat or maybe it's going for a community hike. Getting out there and spending time with people is part of what God wants us to do on this planet. And because that's how we're designed, it's also deeply healing for us when we spend time doing that. And I know you know this. I know that you've spent time around people you love and you felt fulfilled. And I know that you've spent time completely on your own and you felt lost. Now, again, there's seasons for everything, right? There's times to be alone, in isolation, in solitude. And there's times to be connected in community, loving everyone. And we can find ourselves spending too much time in either of those. But the lone wolf mentality's got to go. It's about living in community. It's about living with one another. It's about sharing. And when you share in that spirit, Jesus Christ says, wherever 2 or more gather in my name, there so shall I be. God shows up in those moments. At the same time, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. The amount of conversations I've had with my brothers where we get real and I can feel my spirit lifting, it matters. And so if you've got people you love that you've left out of your circle for a little too long, please reach out for you and for them. And that'll always be sort of a hurdle. That's where I'm growing, is I've probably got a list of people. Hey, maybe you're watching this video right now and you know I love you, and maybe I haven't reached out recently because it's fallen lower on the to-do list, and I'm sorry about that. But I love you and I appreciate you, and if you know me personally, feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to connect. Now, as far as a vision for the Come to Listen podcast and for Metamorphic Synergies and what community is really going to look like for this, I'd say this one's a little more open. They all have some sense of clarity, and at the end of it, all 4 of these pillars are in God's hands, not mine. So we'll see what really happens with them. But I love the idea of building a community here of people that really care about faith, health, nature, and community, and or just any one of them. Doesn't have to be all of them, but I think they all matter, and that's why I'm sharing it. And I think there's some amazing opportunities to maybe do things like retreats or outdoor adventures and build in-person community that way. There's so much that can happen here. And again, we have this vision in mind of community, and I do feel that it will grow. For now, one of the best ways to join the community, if you will, is to subscribe to our email newsletter. You can find that on our website, metamorphic-synergies.com, and you can opt in there and become part of the community there. There's more things that will grow and come over time, of course, but you'll get plugged into them that way. In addition, with this podcast, part of the community I want to create is all the guests that I'm bringing on here. In the faith column, musicians, worship musicians, rap, Christian rap music. I love Christian rap music. And those artists are going to be part of this community. I hope and pray, God willing, all good either way. From a health standpoint, all these health experts, right? I mean, people, hopefully, like Thomas DeLauer and Rhonda Patrick, and I mean, the list goes on and on of people that know so much about health. Even here in the Springs alone, I'm connected with physical therapists and so many other people that have plenty of information to share. And there's opportunity to create community there. Nature, people that spend time in nature. Conservationists come to mind, as well as regenerative agriculturalists. And starting to build this community, which is a far better word than network. Network sounds more like a technological piece. Community's in the spirit. I care about you, you care about me. We're a community. We commune with one another. Maybe we will have some sociologists on, or just people that are experts in community, and talk with them. I mean, for those of you that don't know, I'm recording this podcast right now in the Gather podcast recording studio. And Gather is, in some sense, a co-working space, but in reality, it's a community. It's a blessing of a space to be in, and part of the reason that I'm here talking to you right now is because of this Gather community, and how I've been able to sort of kick the tires on Metamorphic Synergies and make this something available for you. So yeah, there's plenty to come for community. There's plenty to come for faith, health, and nature too. I really hope that you're as stoked about what's coming with the Come to Listen podcast and Metamorphic Synergies as a whole as I am. We are about to have so many amazing guests on the show in all those different areas spanning. It's just going to be vast and beautiful. And I'm really excited for it, and I hope you are too. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. God bless you. Have a beautiful day. Amen.